Are you in need of harmony, balance, and diplomacy? Do you avoid conflicts or try to please everybody? Are acting on a partnership basis and your fellow human particularly important to you? Is harmony with your fellow beings your priority? Do you have these character traits typical for Libra? Or do you know people in your social context who are typical Libra personalities? In this video, we will tell you about the zodiacal sign of Libra and its meaning in your horoscope. Learn about the basic characteristics of Libra according to Qabbalistic Astrology. Finally, we will give you a short and clear summary of all the key facts about Libra you will need to know for astrological interpretation. Brotherhood of the Eternal Light, Teaching the Western Mysteries. The astrological symbol of Libra shows a balanced scale with two pans in a stylized form. Scales with two pans were common in earlier times and can still be seen in representations of Justitia, or Lady Justice. Libra is the only zodiacal sign that designates an object and not a living being in its naming and symbolism. Libra is an air sign. Its quality is cardinal. Libra marks the beginning of autumn, also called the autumnal equinox. The sun moves through Libra every year from about September 22nd or 23rd to October 21st or 22nd. The first half of the year with its warmer seasons is over, and now autumn begins at the time of the equinox, when daytime and nighttime are equally long. Here, the mediative air element appears in its cardinal expression. It is about balance of polarities, which is symbolized by the symbol of the scales. At first, the scales' pans were tilted towards the first half of the year, but soon they will be tilted towards the second half of the year. The time of the equinox represents the balance between the light and dark half of the year. Also, the weighing of the supplies of the harvest, which will serve for the winter time and will be shared with others, is reflected in Libra's symbol of the scales. Therefore, the symbol of Libra, with its scales which must first be balanced to be in equilibrium, is a fitting image to encompass and represent symbolically the quality and meaning of the zodiac sign Libra. Libra and the 7th house are opposite of the sign of Aries and the 1st house in the radix. Aries and Libra represent contrasts that are in opposition to each other. While the cardinal fire sign Aries, which is ruled by Mars, is about an immediate active expression of power, the cardinal air sign Libra, whose ruler is Venus, expresses itself in a mediative way and strives for harmony. On the one hand, we find the impulsive, self-involved power of Aries, which expresses itself directly and without consideration for others. On the other hand, there is Libra, which is oriented towards its counterpart, which is compensatory willingness to compromise and the need for harmony, which, however, may also lack consistency in decision-making ability. The ideal of the zodiacal sign Libra is harmony, or rather the need for harmony with fellow human beings. The possible problem of the Libra sign is fear of conflicts. The 7th house corresponds to Libra. It is about partnership and relationships with fellow human beings, for example, life or business partners. The cusp of the 7th house corresponds to the descendant. The descendant is on the same axis as the ascendant and is therefore exactly opposite to it. In contrast to the ascendant, which deals with the self or the persona of the horoscope owner, the descendant refers to the you, i.e., the one's counterpart, and to encounters with fellow human beings. Basic Qabbalistic meaning. Libra is assigned to the tarot trump, Justice, which stands for trials. At the Kabbalistic tree of life, we find the assignment of Libra to the 22nd path, which leads from Gevurah to Tiferet. For further information on Qabbalah and the tree of life, visit our online courses or workshop, links in the description. Mythology of Libra. As already mentioned, Libra is the only sign in the zodiac that does not represent a living being. In Greek mythology, we find the Titaness, Themis, the guardian of order and justice, who is represented by a scale. In Roman mythology, we find the scales of justice, which are carried by the goddess Justitia. This symbolism is partly consistent with the sign of Libra, which is interested in harmonious relationships with fellow human beings and a willingness to compromise. However, symbolically speaking, this trait means that one of the scales of the Libra symbol is in fact more inclined towards the other person than towards oneself, which does not represent a balance. In addition, the Libra sign may be inclined to fear of confrontation if a conflict between several parties arises, and perhaps will not seek a just and fair solution at all. We also find the symbolism of a scale in Egyptian mythology. There, the god Anubis, the weigher of hearts, is considered the guide who accompanies the dead into the underworld. That's where the judgment of the dead is held. The deceased soul is brought to a scale. On one of the scales lies a feather of the goddess Mat, and the other scale, the heart of the deceased, is placed. In this way, his karmic burden is determined. Dignities of Libra. The dignities of Libra are exactly opposite to those of Aries, the sign which is in opposition to Libra. Libra is the domicile of Venus, the planet of charm, creativity, and harmonious mastery of the forces of nature, i.e. the emotions. The spiritual principle at the Qabbalistic tree of life, which underlies Venus, is the Sephirah Netzach. Netzach represents the principle of charm, grace, and creative thinking. Venus is particularly well placed in the harmony-loving sign of Libra, because here the grace and charm of Venus can unfold wonderfully in partnerships and relationships with our fellow human beings. Libra is the exile of Mars, the planet of energy and assertiveness. The spiritual principle which underlies Mars on the Kabbalistic tree of life is the Sephirah Gevurah. Gevurah represents the principle of courage and power. In the harmony-loving Libra, Mars cannot express itself well, because energy and assertiveness cannot show themselves in the ideal way in the hardly confrontational Libra, and are rather suppressed. Libra is the sign in which Saturn, the planet of life's seriousness and of discipline, is in its exaltation. The spiritual principle which underlies Saturn on the Kabbalistic tree of life is Binah. Binah shows the principle of limitation and severity. The basic power of Saturn can be expressed adequately in the harmony-loving sign of Libra. The ability to restrain oneself can be very useful in friendships and partnerships. In Libra, the sun is in its fall. The sun represents the basic character and individuality of a person. The spiritual principle which underlies the sun on the Kabbalistic tree of life is the Sephirah Tiferet. Tiferet represents the principle of individual consciousness. In the sign of Libra, which is about harmonious relationships with our fellows, the expression of the self and its needs are subordinate to the benefit of our fellows. Thus, the ego cannot find due expression in the sign of Libra, when it is only concerned about itself. And now we present a brief summary of the most important astrological facts about the zodiacal sign of Libra. The astrological symbol of Libra shows a stylized symbol of a balanced scale. The sun moves through Libra every year from approximately September 22nd or 23rd to October 21st or 22nd. Its element is air, with cardinal quality. Libra marks the point of the autumn equinox, when day and night are equally long. The 7th house and the descendant correspond to Libra. The 7th house is about partnership and relationships with fellow human beings, for example, with life partners or business partners. The descendant stands for the encounter with fellow humans, for the you, in contrast to the ascendant, which stands for the self. The ideal of Libra is harmony, or rather, the need for harmony with our fellows. The problem of Libra is fear of conflicts. Libra is in the domicile of Venus, and Mars is in its exile. In Libra, Saturn is exalted, and the Sun is in its fall. Were you born between September 23rd and October 22nd? And do you have the typical personality traits of a Libra? Or maybe you have several planets in your birth chart in the sign of Libra, or in the 7th house? If so, how do these constellations affect you? Or maybe you know somebody who you would describe as a typical Libra personality. Please tell us more about it in the comments. Find out more about our free Qabbalah online course or visit our website with additional free content. You can find the links in the video description. If you enjoyed this video, please support us by giving us a like and subscribe to our channel. If you would like to be notified about new videos, then activate the bell. Thank you and see you soon in our next video.